So here it is, another beautiful day in the Laurel Highlands of Pennsylvania. We went out hiking in, I think it's called Lynn Run State Park today. Absolutely amazing. Went out to Wolf Rocks, I think it was called. It was a short hike, just a little bit of a 5-mile hike, but with everything else we've been doing, that's okay. Every once in a while we can do a short hike. But absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. I have to say, I never really thought much about Pennsylvania, especially for the outdoors stuff. I always kind of thought Pennsylvania was a bit of a hole, to be honest with you. But I have to say now that I was wrong, that I was incorrect on that issue. Pennsylvania is, in fact, well, some places at least, the Laurel Highlands at least, are very, very, very nice. So again, this is what you get out of me. I know some folks felt like with Asia, I was too negative. Eli, why are you being so negative? And as I say, I just tell it how I see it. So when I was in Asia, had a bit of issues there. Got to tell you folks all about it. Now that I'm here in the Laurel Highlands, again, I did not think this place was going to be that nice, to be honest with you. But I will be sad to go. So we are here another full day tomorrow, and then after that we take off and we go down to Luray, Virginia, so Shenandoah National Park. So that should be nice. So it's kind of funny with these RV parks now, is it got all busy for a couple of days. So especially here in the US, the weekends are the big thing. So it was really funny. So we were here and it was all pretty quiet, not a lot of people around. And then Friday night, everybody started pouring in, all these people started coming in. You started hearing people be noisy, all that kind of stuff. Saturday morning, there's kids everywhere. Saturday night, it's all really loud. And now it is Sunday night. And it's all back to being quiet again. But again, that's the whole nice thing. When you're out traveling on your own and you don't have to worry about things like weekends, is you come to these RV parks and you get them to yourself for the entire week. So a lot of people don't realize how calm and quiet these places can be because they're here only during the weekends or during the prime holiday season. But I have to say, when you're here during the normal week, even the summer, it's just very nice, very quiet. Few people around, everybody smiles at each other, everybody says hi, and otherwise you all do whatever it is. Just nice and quiet and enjoyable. So I've decided today I'm going to start actually doing a little bit of editing. I will start doing a little bit of editing again. And I'm going to start to do a style that I started to do last year with Eli, the computer guy. So I have a little video camera that I take with me everywhere. And so I am going to take the footage from that video camera for every day when I do video. And then cut that onto the end of these videos. So my thought before was that I would just do one long video about the area that I was seeing, and then post it when I was done. But I noticed people don't end up actually watching those videos, and again, it doesn't really show you what I'm going through on a day-to-day basis. So I figure if I do a little bit of editing, and put the clips basically at the end of these videos, that'll show you folks on a day-to-day basis what I'm actually seeing. So it might be valuable. I don't know. I think it'll be valuable. It'll be nice. You guys can see Lynn Run State Park. And again, I have to say, Lynn Run State Park was so nice. It really was one of those things. I'm sitting there looking at a little hiking book, trying to figure out where we can go. And I'm well, maybe we should go to this state park. Maybe this will be okay. But it was so nice. We went there today, and it was a really good hike. So we're going to go back. I took a picture of all the trail maps, and so we're going to go back there tomorrow. So we're actually going to go there 2 days. It was so gorgeous too. I'm kicking myself right now. I thought about bringing my GoPro because I have the whole suction mount or whatever to actually suction it to the outside of the truck. And I thought about doing that, suctioning it to the outside of the truck for going some places. But then you know how you think about things and you decide not to do it. I decided not to do it, and now I'm very sad because going through the back hills here in Pennsylvania was all these little dirt roads or barely asphalted roads, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. It's a very good thing. So we're gonna walk over here and walk into this field just so we can stay away from people. I'm now used to talking. I'm used to doing this whole vlogging thing with people around, but it's still, I'll give you the eye. And then they want to be in the video. And there's all this stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. So we're just gonna go and wander around this nice big field while we talk today. So the question today is, what are my goals? Eli, what are your goals? Now, that is a very curious question. That is a very interesting question. And I think the person that asked what are my goals also went over to the person who shall not be named, he who shall not be named, one of his videos, and asked, what should Eli's goals be? Which thankfully, he that shall not be named left a comment back that you basically shouldn't tell what their goals should be, because you have no idea what their interests or whatever else is in. And so I think that is one of the first things that I would start off. When you start talking about like other people's goals or what other people should do, again, that goes back to that whole kind of like that adoption thing, where unless people are very specific and they actually ask you for advice or information, that is basically not your place to say it, right? That's the important thing to understand with things like goals, is goals are all based off of what do you want out of life? What are the what resources do you have? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your fears? And it's all different depending on different people. So some people want to be billionaires. Other people want their nice little rattan mat that they can throw out and fall asleep with, with the sound of the ocean, right? So it all really depends. Oh, screw it. I've been walking a lot. We're just gonna sit down today. Whoa. So it all really depends upon the individual person. It's not really light. And what they want. So a lot of people, that's one of the things, like I say, we talk about ego, we talk about arrogance, and we talk about all that kind of stuff. And as I always say, I find it kind of funny that people call me all egotistical and arrogant, and then they say like what my goals should be are. And then I sit there and I'm like, curiously enough, no matter how egotistical and arrogant I may be, I would never tell somebody else what their goals should be. Again, unless they specifically came to me and said, I want to do X, Y, or Z. Eli, I want to start a startup company. Then I would tell them what their goals should be, because that's a specific thing and there are specific goals that I would suggest. But generally in life, if a 20-year-old just walked up to me and said, what should my goals be? I have no idea. If you're militarily inclined, your goal should be to join the military. If you're college inclined, your goal should be to go to college. If you're travel inclined, your goal should be to go backpack around the world. I can tell you, I think if you're not worried about going and dying in some piss-ass country, that the military can be a good thing. I can tell you that if you're not going to go broke doing it, go into too much debt, college can be a good thing. I can tell you just all the way around that, traveling the world in some fashion can be a good thing. But again, whether you do it in an RV or whether you do camping or whether you do backpacking, I don't know that, right? So the whole idea that one person should be able to tell another person what their goals should be without some kind of like specific thing is basically one of those things, again, as we talk about that is an arrogance that goes a wee bit too far. So I was appreciative of he who shall not be named saying that. And that is, again, something you should think about in life. Because again, one of the things you have to understand is the way that you get ahead in life is by keeping the conversation open. Again, you cannot be successful without other people. There is no army of one. There is no success of one. Everything is built upon the success of others. We are a tribal creature. Like, you just can't do anything by your lonesome. All these people that say they do it by their lonesome, they're just lying, right? Simply to have clothes. Simply the clothes I wear. You know how many people are involved with simply this shirt? And that's not including these shoes or these socks or anything else, or the food, right? There's so many people involved with everything. And so what you have to realize is that keeping the lines of communication, keeping communication open is the best way to be successful, because people will give you advice or they'll give you ideas about where they see opportunities. And so one of the things is when when you do things like push your ego upon them and start telling them what they should do when they haven't asked you for that, that's one of the things that just shuts down the communication. That's where I was talking before about, like I say, the whole adoption thing and polite conversation. This polite conversation is if I'm 40 years old and have a wife, somebody comes up and goes, "Oh, hey, do you guys have kids?" And see, that's polite conversation. And they go, "Well, no, we decided not to have kids, or can't have kids, or whatever." See, and that's polite conversation. And then after that, we can go talk about the Red Sox. I don't know anything about the Red Sox, but I don't know. You can ask about the Red Sox or something. Or we can talk about the weather. We can talk about RVing. Or we can talk a lot about other things. There's a lot of conversations going on. But then the thing is, like I say, you go, "Well, have you thought about adoption?" And like I say, that's just like one of those questions where it's like, how am I supposed to get out of that? Yes, I've thought about adoption, right? It's like one of those things that shuts down the conversation. So again, when you start thinking about goals, or you start talking about what other people should do, and they haven't asked you what your opinion is, basically it just shuts down the conversation, because this is one of those things that people don't necessarily want to go into. Like, they have goals, and they have needs, and they have desires, and they have all this stuff, and it's not something that's necessarily just out there and open and what they want to discuss. So if you bring it up and you start pushing that upon them, they will just shut down. And again, as I always say with people, people will get an idea of you in their head. They will get a sentence. They will describe you as a sentence, and they will treat you as that sentence. Forevermore. And so the thing is if you push your opinion, if you push your ideas on them, and they're not looking for it, basically the sentence that they will attribute to you is pushy asshole. And again, if you think of somebody as a pushy asshole, do you want to have any nice conversations with them? No, you don't, right? You'll find almost any reason not to. So the big thing to understand, like I say, with this whole like goals and asking what should somebody's goals be, it all depends upon the person. It all depends on whatever their life experience is, where their head is, what resources they have, all of those kinds of things. So you shouldn't push the old idea of what should somebody's goals be on somebody when you don't know all those things. So when they haven't specifically asked you that question. Hey, I want to be a sysadmin. What do you think my goal should be? Hey, I'm starting a startup company. What should my goal be? Hey, I would like to be in the technology field. What should my goals be? Then, again, say the goals. But again, just randomly saying, this is what that person's goal should be? Bugger off, right? Again, what kind of egotistical, arrogant ass says what somebody else's goal should be without being asked and without knowing a whole bunch of other things, right? So that's a thought there. Again, like I say, with polite conversation, and okay, I'll talk about polite conversation a bit. Hopefully not a lot more. We're getting a little old with the polite conversation. But again, it is a big thing. I see that with a lot of people, where they just bring up inappropriate topics as parts of conversation, and then it shuts down the conversation forever. Again, like I say, if you walk up to me and you just randomly start telling me what my goal should be, I'm just going to get a sentence of you in my head, and I'm just not going to deal with you forevermore. And a lot of people say, no, Eli. But in this single instance, I was annoying. But you should always look at me as a bright, new, shiny snowflake. And again, in a perfect world with unicorns and cotton candy and fairy dust, that may be the case. But again, I'm a real person. You're a real person. People are real people. So however they should be, the reality is they are going to act a certain way. And like I say, when you push these things on them, they're just going to decide not to talk to you forevermore. Right? So what are my personal goals right now? I don't have many personal goals right now, to be honest with you. I've had a lot of goals in my life, and I've accomplished all the goals in my life. Again, I think that's one of the funny things I have when I deal with people is, most people talk about their bucket lists and what they want to do, and the most important thing to them is what they want to do in life. See, the biggest problem that I've had is, I do my bucket list. And that's the thing. It's like the fear, and what do you do next, is you look at your bucket and it's empty. It's not empty because you're not creative. It's not empty because there aren't things you want to do. It's empty because you do them, right? I wanted to join the military. I joined the military. I wanted to travel cross country when I was young. I traveled cross country when I was young. I wanted to backpack around the world. I backpacked around the world. I wanted to start my own company. I started my own company. I wanted employees. Oh, God help me, I got employees, right? You know, there's all these things. I wanted a big house. God help me, I got a big house, right? You know, sometimes you realize that some of the goals you had weren't the best goals to have. But basically for me, I've accomplished all the goals that I really set out. And so for me at this point, really, I just want to be content, I have to say. I just want to be content. Like, my only real goal, I would have to say, my only real goal is that Fail Normal pays me at some point in time within the next 2 years. I probably have 2 years of runway on it. In the next 2 years, my hope is that Fail Normal pays me the amount of money that I need to keep this whole venture going. And that is really the only goal I have. I don't want employees, because that's the thing with goals, right? Because I had employees, and I hate employees. Do I really want, like, a crap ton of money? No. I mean, because that's the thing. I've been offered, for Eli the computer guy, I've been offered foolish amounts of money. And again, what you always have to look at with money is a transaction. Like, nobody ever wants to think about that with money. It's a transaction, right? Everybody focuses on the money part. Here's the check. Nobody focuses on what you have to give, right? And so that's the thing, like with money, is I've been offered a lot more money. Like I say, with Eli the computer guy, a lot of money. But that's with no outbound sales. That's inbound sales. But the issue that I run into is the more money they give means the more time and the more myself I have to give up in order to get that money. And then at the end of the day, I look at what that money brings, and I'm not sure really how valuable it is. Because it really was. I was having a conversation with this, like my wife, like 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago. We were in Key West, right? We were in Key West. And if you go to Key West, you stay at the hotels there by Mallory Square. Directly out from Mallory Square, there's a key, basically an island. They call them keys down there. And it's like Rich Bitch Key. I don't know what it is. It's a privately owned key that's within like spitting distance of Key West. And that was a thing. Like, people were offering me all this money, and so we were looking at things like being able to stay there. And so if you stay out on that key, the hell is that? Some random ATV behind me. Yeah, don't know what that's about. Welcome to Pennsylvania. Random ATVs. Hello.
Filming.
What's that?
Recording.
Yep, we're recording a video. Yep. God damn it. What the fuck? I can't even make this shit up. I am literally in the middle of a field. And even when I'm in the middle of a field, somebody on an ATV will randomly show up and go, "Hi, are you filming?" God damn it, yes I am. What is it about video cameras where people are like, "Hi, hello, can I be on your video?" Damn it. I'm in the middle of a field. You know, it's one thing when I'm in the middle of Bangkok. Okay, fine, I'm in the middle of Bangkok. It's one thing when I'm wandering through the RV park there. Okay, what? I am literally in the middle of a field. I'm in the middle of a field, RV, ATV. Hey, are you filming? Like, God damn it, yes, I'm filming. Yes, I'm filming. Anyways, what was I gonna say? So we were sitting there, we were looking out. There's the key over there. We actually took a look at it. You could go out there on a little ferry. And the thing is, like, in order to rent anything over there, it starts at about $2,000 to $3,000 per night, and it goes up from there all the way up to like $15,000, $16,000 per night. And the thing was, with the offers that were on the table and what I was being offered and all that, that was like actually a reasonable amount of money. Again, because we have to think about, like, with prices and all that kind of stuff, prices are all relative. Things are expensive or inexpensive simply based on how much money you are bringing in and how much money you have going out. So if you live a reasonable life and people are willing to dump a crap ton of money on you, then $2,000 per night actually is not that bad, right? Now, I know a lot of people out there will be like, horrified, but it really wasn't. Like, we were looking at it, and I was looking at the deals on the table, and I was like, yeah, maybe next year we can get, 10 nights, week and a half out there. It was really reasonable. But that was the thing. I started looking at it, and I started looking at the amount of money that I was being offered and all these opportunities. But the question that I had, that I came to, is what am I really going to use this money for? Like, if I get money for nothing, and your chicks for free, right? If I get money for nothing, then again, I'd dump it on something like that. But the thing was, like, what people were asking for, it wasn't nothing. Again, there are definitely harder ways to make a buck in your life than what they were asking, but it was real stuff. It was flying all over the world and doing this and doing that and doing the other thing. It was tedious, it was long, it was hard, it was going to take a lot out of me. And so basically it was one of those things like, okay, so I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do all this work in order to get an amount of money that I don't really need so that I can spend that money on things that are like absolutely ridiculously expensive so that I can be happier. I kind of thought about that, and that was when everything kind of sort of started on the whole unraveling process, because it was like I just don't really care about it that much. Again, our little RV park here costs us like $30 a night, and I'm happy with it. And I actually have to say, I think I like this RV park more than I would like that $2,000 a night place on the island. And again, I'm not being like anti-snob or anything here. I actually just like these places, right? I like my little RV, I like my food, I like all that kind of stuff. And so that was the kind of thing, is, you start thinking about it, and for me, all the opportunities that were on the table, what you start having to ask yourself is, but do you really want them? Right? It's like, people are so unhappy, and people never get their goals, and so many people don't really focus on happiness and the other thing, that they just take whatever is offered to them. And they don't really think much more beyond that. And again, like I say, I've got it to the point where I can look at it, and I can ask myself, is $100,000 worth it? And I know that sounds arrogant, egotistical, blah, 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 but fuck it, it's true. It really is true. And so what I found with myself is it really isn't. There's an amount of money that I need to bring in to pay for stuff, pay for the adventures and all that kind of thing. But that's an amount of money that I can rather reasonably bring in without having to sell my soul to anything. And so basically for me, I'm kind of happy with it, right? I'm in a position in my life, I'm two decades as a technology professional, so I have that behind me if I need it. I've always worked in the business realm, so I have my business acumen and all that crap behind me if I need it. Obviously, I'm a good public speaker, and I can do this video stuff if I need it. So basically for me right now, I'm kind of happy just trucking along. I don't need a PhD. No. I looked at PhD because that's the thing. Like, I was like, what do I do next? I'm like, maybe a Juris Doctor. Because again, I will tell you folks, I'm not even lying. Like, all those people that want to get into technology, it's so funny. They're like, do I get my MCSE? It's like, get your MBA. Do I get my CCNA? Get your Juris Doctor. I swear to you, if you want to get into technology in 2016, get your fucking Juris Doctor. Your Juris Doctor as a technology professional would fucking rock. Again, if you start looking at all this where's the fair use crap on YouTube, that is only the tip of the iceberg of all the stuff that's happening in the technology world. If I was going to tell anybody, it's like, what is the premier tech certification that you should get? Your Juris Doctor, basically law school. That is what you should get. If you want to be a really hard-charging, cool tech professional, because again, everybody looks at technology and they always look at it from the standpoint of, swapping hard drives and all that crap. When in reality, like I say, the big money and the important stuff is all these infrastructure projects. Things like licensing and contracts and maintenance agreements. And again, just books of contracts. That's what's important in the tech world. And again, swapping hard drives, any monkey can do that crap. But anyways, I looked at the Juris Doctor and then was like, okay, well, what am I going to have? I'm going to have I'm going to spend 3 or 4 years getting a Juris Doctor, and then I'm going to have a piece of paper, and do I really want to be a lawyer? I could go for the MBA, and it's like, okay, I can spend 2 years getting a piece of paper, and how's that going to make my life any better? So anyway, I did that thing, and then like I say, I was looking like with Eli, the computer guy, maybe, because Linus has a good business going on. Linus, Tech Tips, man, that guy is like the Ford. He's like the Henry Ford of YouTube. Again, I don't particularly like Linus's content. That doesn't mean I don't respect what he does. I highly respect what he does. He is the Henry Ford of YouTube content. But again, I looked at it and like, is this really what I want? Again, I got paid to go and deal with a tech company. And again, they're a great company and they're great people and they do great stuff. And then I'm like looking around this immaculate, startup office. Everything is beautiful and it's this and that and it's artistic and it's wonderful and they got all the fancy stuff and they've got the kitchen. And I look at where the bosses has his corner office. And then I think, why the hell do I want to be in a corner office? Again, right now, this is my life. Right now I'm working. This is me when I'm working, right? This isn't me when I was out on the trail. This is me while I'm working. So why would I give up this kind of freedom and all that kind of stuff for a corner office simply so I can say that I have employees and say that I have a big company and then have money to spend on things like $2,000 a night hotel rooms? Right? Because that was a thing like a while ago when I was really building things up and things were going really well. And that was the thing, like I was stressed and my wife and I would fly down to South Beach. And then again, it was always a thing that started to bother me as we started to spend a lot of money down at South Beach. And again, probably somewhere around $1,000 a night for like a hotel room and all that kind of thing. And that's what started to bug me, is because the reason you spend that much money is because your vacation can't be a failure. Right? So right now, we're about to go to Luray, Virginia, right? We're going to spend a week there. And hopefully it'll be a good time. But if it's not a good time, I'm not really worried about it. Oh no, it's another week out of my life. It's kind of sad. It's like no big deal. If we go there, like going to Thailand, didn't quite go how I thought. Oh well, it's 3 weeks out of my life. No big deal. A couple of bucks out of my pocket, 3 weeks out of my life, no big deal. But the thing is like when you're working really hard and you're really trying to build things up and you're all stressed and you're all trying to do all this stuff to be the next, Henry Ford or whatever the hell else. The thing is when you go on vacation, it can't be screwed up. It can't be, because that's the thing, is if you're working your ass off and then you need downtime, because that's what vacation is, you need downtime, then if it's all rainy or if it's crappy or if the flight gets delayed or the hotel sucks or whatever else, it's not simply like the way a lot of like the 14-year-olds think about vacation. You think about vacation as in you go to some public school where basically you're sleeping the entire time anyway. Then your parents take you on vacation and yay, fun, Disney World. As adults for vacation though, you need downtime. You need a time to decompress and relax, especially if you're going 1,000 miles an hour. And so if you go on your 1 week vacation because you need to be down and decompress and then things go horribly wrong, it's really leads to burnout really quick, right? And so that's why I was looking at all this stuff and I'm like, okay, so every place I have for growth, again, I see how I can make a lot more money. I see where I can make a shit ton more money. And for any of you snorking or whatever, rolling your eyes, whatever. Again, like I say, I saw the numbers on the table. A shit ton more money, right? I see where I can get a shit ton more money. And I see where I can work a crap ton more. As I've said before, I don't see where that money then translates into me actually having a better life. Again, I see how it translates into a more expensive vacation. Okay, now I spend $20,000 on a vacation instead of, $200 for an entire week. But just because it's more money, just because it's $20,000 on a vacation, does not necessarily mean that it's better of a time. Kind of get what I'm saying? So basically, that's for me and like my goals going into the future. Like I say, I don't really have many goals at this point in time. I want Failed Normal to make me enough money that I can pay for everything that I need to pay for. I want that. I want to travel around and poke my nose into things. I want that. Because basically what I would like to do with Failed Normal, the goal for Failed Normal, okay, I have a goal. Sort of a goal. Slightly a goal. I have an idea. I have a direction. I have a direction for Failed Normal. I don't know if it's a goal. A direction for Failed Normal. So my direction for Failed Normal, what I would like to do is once I have more subscribers, probably once I have at least 10,000 subscribers, and once I've really kind of fleshed this entire product out a little better so I can go and start talking to people. What I would like to start doing is going and trying to get comped for like experiences, like doing like whitewater rafting trips, and basically not necessarily get paid to do the rafting trip, but not have to pay for it, right? Be able to go to Belize and have a whole eco vacation gratis given to me, demoed to me, right? So that I can then talk about it on this. Or go and learn how to fly something and then talk about it on this. And basically go and be able to talk with people and get some more in-depth knowledge about all kinds of bizarre stuff and then talk about it here. So the idea is, you know, they do like Baltimore City, like a lot of police agencies have like ride-alongs. So you can go for a few nights in a month and ride along with them as they do their copy stuff, their police stuff. So like do a ride along and then talk about it. Or go to a prison and talk about it. Or go to, like I say, whitewater rafting or learning to fly or guns. I don't know about rappelling. I've done a lot of rappelling. But you know what I'm saying? Start doing like some adventure-y stuff and talk about it. But that's about it. And it's about the direction. It's not really the goal. My goal at this point is rather open-ended. Get this up to where it makes me enough money, keep it going, keep having fun, and there you go. My goal is to sell the house, sell my 2 properties. I really want to sell the properties. Those were so bad ideas. So many people are like, I want to buy a house. I'm like, are you sure? Are you really sure you want to buy a house? Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story of a dumbass who bought a house 10 years ago. 10 fucking years ago, and will probably lose $100,000 when he sells it. That is real estate investment for you. That's real estate investment. You own it for 10 years, and you get a tax credit. God damn it, right? But yeah, maybe that's my goal, sell the house. So yeah, that's really it. I'm just kind of trucking along, because I've gone out there and I've done all the goals that I've had. I've set a lot of goals. It's not like I'm a goalless human being. I've set a lot of goals and I've accomplished a lot of things. But again, at the end of the day, I think with most people, you know, when most people talk about goals and how important goals are, I think the reality is I don't think most people actually want to achieve the goals. They make the goals so ridiculous and so stupid and so just way the far out there, that they never actually achieve them. And so again, they never really have to think about what's next, right? Because if the goal is always in the future, if you're like, I want to be a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, it's going to take you a lot of time to get there. A lot of time. It's going to take you 20 or 30 years to get there, right? So it's so far out there, you can just focus on trying to achieve that goal. You don't really have to think about why, right? Again, like I say, a lot of people are like, I want to be Eli, I want to be rich. Eli, the goal is to be rich. I know you people don't, because you're all on YouTube, and you people don't want money either. Again, you gotta have enough money to eat. It's so funny with all these people. Eli, I want to follow my passion. I don't care about money. And I'm like, you know, paying a mortgage is really nice. Again, I want to make enough money off of this to pay for health insurance and to pay for the RV fees and all the other kind of stuff. Again, I'm not saying I want to be a starving guru or anything. But making a lot of money isn't the big priority either. But the thing is, like, everybody has this idea like, oh, I want to be rich or whatever. But the funny part is, and this is the problem that I have with so many people, is that they don't really want to do it. Again, people are looking for excuses. People are looking for fantasy, not solutions and ways to do things. So again, I wanted a lot more money at one point in time. My goal was a crap ton more money at one point in time. Well, here's the thing. If your goal is to do something, isn't it wise to go out and talk to people that are already there? Again, that's why I try to tell people, is smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So I'd rather learn from somebody else's mistakes rather than do them myself. And so the thing is, I went out there and I've talked, and I talk about this every once in a while in these videos, where I've talked with very wealthy people and I've had sit-down conversations with very wealthy people and coffee and beer and all that kind of stuff. And the thing that I realized is being that wealthy, it seems like it kind of sucks, to be honest with you. Because then you have all this stuff, and then you have like employees for like your home. Like, people don't really think about that, right? Believe me, employees suck. You will find very, very few bosses in the world that don't groan about employees, right? And so then you get to the point where not only do you have employees at work, but then you go home and you have employees. And again, like if you have $1 million or $1 billion, the idea is you don't just have cash. Nobody just wants cash. Nobody wants to be like Scrooge McDuck and just have like piles of cash. The idea is that you do something with the piles of cash. Well, the thing is, and then you buy property. Well, then once you buy property, then you have to maintain the property. Well, here's the thing. When you buy a little rancher, which I should have purchased, when you buy a little rancher somewhere, you can maintain that property. Or if you need to employ somebody to help maintain the property, it's relatively easy, right? Paint it every once in a while. Well, the thing is, when you get these huge properties, then you have things like property managers, right? I knew this one person, like literally, like their property had a freaking property manager. And you had to have a manager in order to deal with all the employees you had for your own fucking home, right? And then again, you've got all this stuff going around, and so now you have all the stress and all the issues with employees and all that kind of stuff, not just in your business life and in your home life. And again, think about all the stupid things, employees do, and then, imagine if they're doing that like in places where you sleep and all that kind of stuff. And you got liability issues, and you've got this, and you've got that, and you've got the other thing, and you realize just how obnoxiously stressful all of that can be. And again, like I say, that's where, like for me, I just looked at it and went, wow, this kind of sucks. I looked at these people, they showed me shit, and I'm just like, oh my god, that seems so miserable. Holy crap, I don't want that. I just don't. Right? And so that's the thing you have to think about, like with your goals and all that kind of stuff, is you go out there and you talk with people that actually already accomplished them, and then you figure out, is that what you really want? And like I say, so few people actually really plan on achieving their goals. They don't do any preparation work for achieving their goal, so they can blindly keep going after their stupid ass goals for their entire life. They can work 60 hours a week, they can be absolutely miserable, they can whine about everything, and they're all trying to go for a goal that they probably don't even want when they get it, right? And again, that's like what I look at with the United States right now. So the United States, everybody here in the United States is very angry. That's one of the reasons why Trump might actually be president, right? We're all angry, we're not going to take it anymore. But again, that's a funny thing, like with goals. I think we're still the richest country in the world. We have a military that is literally so strong, we can literally go to war with two different separate countries, and still it'll still work out, right? And like a conventional war, if we just want to nuke people, we just nuke the entire world. But I mean, like putting like tanks and airplanes and all that on the ground, right? We can do that. We have so much food. I mean, think about it. We have so much food. Our biggest health problem is that we're too fat. We have so much luxury. The second biggest health problem is that we're incredibly out of shape. Like, we have all of this. We have stuff to excess to the point that it is killing us. Like, literally to the point that it's killing us. And yet you still have all these people whining, crying, bitching, and moaning because it's not good enough. And again, that's a question where I have with a lot of people is what is your final goal? Is your final goal actually to be happy? Is your final goal actually to be content? Is your final goal, or is it just to continuously be going after all this stuff? And like I say, it seems pretty crappy. Again, like I say, for me, like I say with a goal, it's not a joke. It's really not a joke. I got to that point. And for some reason, I had Audi on the brain. Audi has done a very good job at marketing to geeks. I can say, because they were in my brain. And I had the idea, I was going to go out, I was going to buy a nice Audi sports car. And again, for cash. I was going to go out, cash, buy a nice Audi sports car. I mean, not the top of the line Audi sports car, but good Audi sports car, right? And so again, I had this whole idea. I've been thinking about an Audi sports car for like 2 years. I want an Audi sports car. So I go out there and make the money, blah, blah, blah. I got the cash to buy an Audi sports car. Then I go to the Audi dealership. I sit in the Audi sports car, and I go, this is a kind of crappy car. I really don't like this car. Like, I look around, the guy's got the leather, it's got this and that, and all the fucking features or whatever, and I'm like, I really don't like the Audi. I really don't like I mean, like, not like, who would drive an Audi? I'm like, I don't like the Audi. And so again, like I say, for me, I then ended up going out and buying a Ford Escape. Genuinely, I bought out. I like literally went from sitting in like a very expensive Audi to buying a Ford Escape, fully loaded, for like literally half the price, probably less than half the price of that Audi. Because what I realized is, again, what is actually enjoyable, what is actually comfortable, what feels good. And I have to tell you, Ford. I picked Ford over Audi. I swear, not even a joke. And so that's one of the things, like with goals and all that kind of stuff that you have to think about. So like I say, for me at this point in my life, I don't really have much of a goal. My goal is for this to make enough money to keep it going. Because again, I've gone out there and I've gotten the goals. As I say, like I say, that's what I'm trying to do with Fail Normal. And I know to a lot of the 14-year-olds out there, and the world sucks. I know to you guys, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But I know there's a few of you that it doesn't make sense to. And that's the thing, is there's nobody has a conversation about what happens when you get the goal. What happens when you've accomplished what you want to accomplish? What happens when you sat there, you created the plan, you followed the plan? I'm not saying the plan went perfectly, but the plan went the way the plan, and then you get to the end of it, you're like, huh, now what? You know, again, like I say, nobody talks about that. Like, what happens when you sit down with very rich people, and you get to know what their lives are really like, and then you're like, you know what? I don't want that. Again, I'd like a little bit of that. You're like, can I just take a little bit? I won't take enough for you to notice. I'll take a rounding error. Let me just take a rounding error from you. But like I say, you sit there and you talk with them. And like, again, like I say, there's so much in the populace. And it's like, and it really, it's not, I say it's hard to explain. It's what I hate trying to talk with people anymore. Because everybody has these, everybody has these ideas in their head. Again, as I talk about with ego, everybody has these ideas in their head about how the world is. And then come hell or high water, they won't give up those ideas. Again, rich people are happy, poor people are miserable, rich people, control the world, middle class people are getting screwed, Mexicans are trying to take over, right? They've got all these things in their head. And then the thing is, like I say, you actually sit down with like the people. You sit down with the Mexicans, and you sit down with the rich people, and you sit down with the poor people, and you have all these conversations, and you realize it's not quite what you think it is. So yeah, so long story short story long, I suppose, because it's one of my videos. My goal is just for this to make enough money to keep trucking along. I think my only real goal in life is to sell those damn properties, not get completely assed on it. But yeah, because like I say, I've achieved it. I mean, I've achieved my goals. And again, that's the whole thing you have to realize, and that's why you have to be careful about like ego and arrogance. You're like, well, you're not president of the United States, Eli, or you're not a doctor, or you're not a lawyer, or you're not that. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to be that. You don't want me as a doctor. Can you imagine me as a doctor? We're talking about bad bedside manner. Hello, Mr. Johnson. You're going to die. Rather horribly and painfully, to be honest with you. It's just like, yeah, it's just not good. Right? Me being a lawyer, yeah, I guess I could do it. Again, I'm capable of doing it. I have no doubt I have capability to be a lawyer. Don't really want to be a lawyer. I just kind of want to wander. That's what I've really done my entire life. Just kind of wander. I've poked my nose into things. And I think that's what this new technology allows people to do. And that's where I want folks to be thinking about things differently. Again, I keep bringing up this whole idea of time. And I know I think some of you think I'm losing my mind. But it really is important, is to understand in this modern world, things that used to be insane and things that used to be stupid and things that used to be crazy are now actually incredibly valuable. So like me wandering around, I spent a lot of my life wandering around and driving my mentors absolutely batshit crazy, right? Because they would see me and they would see me on some track and I'd be doing something cool and I would have some amazing path to the future and I'd get some money in the bank account and then I'd be like, well, I'm taking a bus Greyhound to California. They're like, what the fuck? What do you mean you're taking a Greyhound to California? I'd be doing something, I'd be like, yeah, you know, this is going great. I'm going to go backpack through Europe. And they're like, or no, this is going great. I'm going to go to India or whatever else. And the thing is, for a long time, that was absolutely insane. Doing things like that, there was no value in it. Like me just traveling around to all these weird places, there's no value. That's completely against the norm. And all you're doing, you're wasting your life. You're wasting your life. Right? And so I'd sit here and I'd think about these weird things like time and communication. Again, like I say, this whole conversation and like, again, fapping to your grandmother. Like, I know that seems very vulgar. Like the idea in 2050, somebody could be fapping to their grandmother. I know that sounds very vulgar, but it's very amazing. It's so transformational in a way. Like this idea of that you could know your grandparent and your great grandparent in an exceptionally personal way that could have never been replicated before. Like if I was going to have kids, the thought that in 2050 somebody could go back and watch hundreds or thousands of hours of my video and actually understand me as I am in this point in time in a way that is completely impossible before. So when I'm sitting there and I'm like literally talking to the wall, and people like, oh, isn't it sad? Eli used to be intelligent at one time. And some kid goes in and goes, what, this old geezer was ever intelligent? And they could sit there and they could actually turn on a whole stream of videos. And the thought that that kid who could be sitting beside me when I'm 80 years old could create a relationship with a version of me that was 50 years younger is really remarkable. Because when you think about it, like a lot of you folks, a lot of people that watch my videos, and I learned this from Eli the Computer Guy, is they watch a lot of my videos. As I say, it's creepy cool. Because it's both cool and creepy at the same time. But they watch my videos to such a point that they feel that they have a relationship. They kind of feel like in the real world, you know how there's somebody who talks a lot and there's somebody who's very quiet? They kind of feel like that. They feel like the quiet one in the relationship. And there just happens to be this glass or this plexiglass or whatever in between us, right? And so they feel like they have a relationship. They don't. I don't know you. You don't know me. We don't have a relationship. But they feel like they have a relationship. And so what's really weird then, and so that's weird unto itself. But then to think that 50 years from now, a 14-year-old could watch these videos and feel like they have a relationship with me from that time period is remarkable, right? But to wander around the world and to think about all these things basically used to be the refuge of idiots, essentially, right? Well, let's be honest. You know, if I wandered around the world and pondered time and communication and all that kind of stuff in the 1980s, people would feel bad for me. They would feel bad for me, right? But now in this modern world, I can do just that and actually make a surprising amount of money doing it. Again, it seems laughable now. So like right now, as of today, we're up to $157 and like 42 cents off of ad revenue. Plus we have Patreon, which is like at 100 something. So we're almost at like $257 per month off of revenue on this for like 6,000 subscribers. 6,000 subscribers. So again, if I had the same number of subscribers as I do for Eli the Computer Guy, which is like 700,000, you know, 100 times 200, it's like $20,000 a month, right? And there's actually a lot more monetary opportunities with this. So like literally, I can like wander around debating existence and time and fapping to grandmothers with a video camera and actually have the potential of making like $20,000 a month. Right? And so that's what you have to think about with this modern time period, is that business and what is valuable isn't necessarily what it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Like, so for me, like I've always talked with myself, right? I've always talked to myself. And it's a coping mechanism of being an Aspie for trying to deal with humans. Because again, I find humans to be confusing as hell. Neurotypical people don't make a damn bit of sense to me. If that's typical, holy hell. Just don't make sense, right? So one of the reasons I've always talked with myself is I'm not really talking to myself. I'm running through scenarios in my head, especially when I have to deal with business, especially when I have to deal with CEOs or employees or any of that kind of stuff. I am not quick-witted when it comes with humans. Basically, I'm very, very steadfast with things. So it can be good for negotiations in a lot of ways. Like when I negotiate business contracts, it can be very useful. And the reason is because I decide all the parameters I will accept before I go in. I know the price that I want, and I know the price that I'll accept before I go in. I know what I'm willing to do give and take on before I go in. So when I go into the negotiation, I can be a hard ass, and it can be very easy for me because I'm not making it up as I go. If I say basically I walk in and I think, this is a $10,000 job. I've got X, Y, or Z on the table, so I'll take it down to $9,500. And so the person's like, well, yeah. So let's take this down to $9,400, and we'll call it a deal. And I already know that's not the answer. I've already thought about it 1,000 times. It's like, no, $9,500 is the minimum. So I just look at them and go, nope, not going below $9,500. And I look them dead in the eye, and they know I'm not bullshitting. They know I'm not lying. And so they can either take it or leave it. And what you find in life is they normally take it, right? So for business negotiations, it's pretty easy because basically I think all the parameters beforehand. But the problem is that in flexible environments, interviews or goddamn disciplinary actions for employees, right? Those people, disciplining employees, that'll just fucking blow your mind. Shit just comes out of it. You're just like, what? God damn it. I don't want to worry about this. This should not be my problem. This should not be my responsibility should be making sure you get your paycheck every 2 weeks. That should be my response. My responsibility should be like, yep, they did their job. Getting the paycheck every 2 weeks and making sure you don't like piss all over the toilet seat and piss off the females in the office, right? That should be my job, right? The crap that comes, oh my God, right? So I talk to myself a lot as a way of playing through scenarios. And so what I'll do is I'll figure out the 20 most bizarre scenarios and think it through in my head and talk it out and actually talk it out loud. Because again, when you talk out loud, it triggers different parts of the brain. So when you think about something, it triggers something. And when you talk, it triggers something. And when you write things down, it triggers something. So I learned a long time ago that if I talk, even if I'm talking to myself and I look insane, the reality is it triggers things in the brain that's different than if you just think about it. So I spent a lot of my life talking to myself. And my wife laughs at me. She'll come in and be like, oh, what conversation are you having? Because I'll be like, no camera. I'll just, right? I'll be like, oh, damn it, right? And again, right, back in the 1980s, if you very vociferously talk to yourself, that would be considered insane. People would feel very badly for you. Now, if I very vociferously talk to myself, and I do it in front of a video camera, I'm a professional. I am a vlogger. May still be a slightly insane vlogger, but I'm a vlogger, right? And so that's one of the things to be thinking about, like with all the stuff and like with your goals and all those kind of things, is I think you'll be surprised how many opportunities there are that you don't even realize, and how successful you can be by just doing the things that you want to do, right? So yeah, that's kind of roundabout way. So yeah, I'm good. Life's going well. Again, like I say, if Fail Normal keeps growing the way that it should grow, because again, that's a cool thing, like doing Fail Normal, is I already have 6.5 years experience as a content creator. So I already created Eli the Computer Guy, and that's 700,000 subs, and that makes me a lot of money. And Eli Computer Guy Live, that's only like 74,000 subs, but I got it to 74,000 subs, and it makes some money, but I understand what I did there. And so I've actually created TG. So this being the third channel, and understanding all of the lessons in the past. Again, like I say, I think this will be fine. It's like, give it time. Again, that's what people don't, that's the problem I have, like when people come to me for advice, for like, I want to do these Silicon Discourse. as again, like as I tell everybody, like people say, well, Eli, what happens if YouTube blows up? What would you do? And as I'll tell everybody, in the next year, I'd probably be screwed. Like what I would do if YouTube blows up in the next year, I'd be screwed. In the next 3 years, I'm not worried about it because I'll figure something out. And that's what I have with so many the people with so many people. They come to me and they're like, Eli, I need to be able to pay the rent next month. I'm like, I don't know how you do that. It's how to be successful in 2 years. We can talk about that. 2 years, we can do that. Next month, don't know. And so that's where I look at like with Fail Normal, is I figure on the current growth path, give me 2 years, it'll be fine. Then what other goals do I need? I can wander the world, I can talk with people, I can make money, I can be good. I don't really need any goals. What goals should I have? Yeah, I don't know. My goal is to finish Supernatural and to figure out what the hell's going on. I'm up to like season 7 of Supernatural. And I really have to say with Supernatural actually makes me feel a lot better for Fail Normal. I mean, if you haven't seen Supernatural, you should see Supernatural. I don't know, I got addicted to it. It's a good show. Like I like Doctor Who and all that. And I started watching Supernatural, or I saw some episodes, actually, honestly, when I was in San Francisco for Disrupt conference a couple of years ago, and it looked interesting enough. And so my wife and I have gone through all these other shows, and so I turned it on, and I started watching it. And the thing is with Supernatural is it doesn't make a damn bit of sense. It doesn't make a damn, like literally, it gets to the point where this guy I'm at the point where Cass is an angel who is like, God leaves, Armageddon is averted, another angel wants Armageddon to happen, so Cass swallows all the souls of purgatory so that he can blow up the other angel, Raphael, and then those other souls of purgatory eat their way out his stomach, and now there are leviathans running around. And that probably is about as coherent as a storyline is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but you know what I like? You know why I feel very good about Supernatural? Because it has there is no coherent storyline. It just doesn't make a damn bit of sense. But every day I am watching it because I really like the character interaction. Again, I feel like I have a creepy cool relationship with the characters on that show. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I understand even what the hell that particular TV show is about, that episode is about. I like the characters. So that what makes me feel better. So I guess that's my goal. My goal is to keep watching Supernatural. I don't know, maybe if I say my pure enjoyment of Supernatural, they'll keep it going. I'm a little worried because they're up to like season 11. So I don't know how long a show with like no plot can keep going. But they're pushing it. They're gonna figure out how far they can take a show with no plot. And I am telling you, if you think I'm joking about a show with no plot, you watch that show and you tell me what the hell the plot line is. And it's just like even the story arc. You're just like, what the hell is this arc? I just don't. I don't get it. But anyways, that is my thought. For you folks, what should your goals be? I don't know. You should figure out what your goals should be. Figure out what you want to do in life. Figure out what will make you happy. Figure out what'll be enjoyable. Figure out what you need to pay the mortgage and pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. And then do it, right? Again, I say with people with goals, is what I would argue with goals. If you actually want to accomplish, here's the thing, right? And again, I'm not snarking on anybody. I'm not telling people what's right or wrong. Again, morals and ethics, that ain't for me. That ain't for Fail Normal, all right? We just tell you about life. I just blather on about life, right? But here's the thing you have to think about with goals and what you want to do in life, right? Is what I would say is you should have a long, hard talk with the person in the mirror. You should have a long, hard talk with the person in the mirror. And figure out what exactly it is you want out of life. And figure out what exactly it is where you want to go. And again, you don't have to tell anybody else. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell your mama, your papa, your spouse, right? I don't care. As I always say, the one person you should not lie to is yourself. But Eli, you shouldn't lie. Nope, I never said that. That sounds like a moral. Morals have no place around here. I say you should not lie to yourself, because when you lie to yourself, that's when all kind of hell breaks out. Because basically, you start going after things that you don't actually want, and everything gets really nasty. So here's the thing. Lie to everybody else. Lie to everybody else. Again, I do not recommend lying from a practical standpoint. I do believe that lying is not an efficient way to get things done. But again, if you're a person that thinks lying is okay, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying don't lie to yourself. So what I would say is talk to the man in the mirror, talk to the person in the mirror, talk to the lady boy in the mirror, the Z in the mirror, and have a long, hard conversation about what the hell it is you want out of life. Yeah. You know, hey, maybe it's just going behind the barn and smoking dope all day. I'm not saying what it is. And then start figuring out what your goals should be based on that. But again, what I want you to do is I want you to be honest with yourself, because the problem is most people, when they go for their goals, they are not honest with themselves, and so they make up a life that somebody else should have. Again, like I say, with this whole thing with being wealthy. Everybody in the world wants to be wealthy. Wealthy, 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 wealthy. Oh, if only I had more money. If only I was rich. And again, I'm not saying anything. I don't. Right? But here's the thing. Then think all that through and think about: do you actually want to deal with employees in your everyday life? You want a mansion with 20 rooms and 50 bathrooms and 100 acres, right? You can't mow 100 acres, so that means you're going to have employees and all that kind of stuff. And start thinking to yourself: is that what you actually want out of your life? Right? Think about all these things through. And then figure out what you want out of your life. And then I would argue, figure out what I would say are reasonable goals. If you actually want to achieve the goals, figure out reasonable goals. So a college degree is a reasonable goal. A master's degree is a reasonable goal. A company, I want to own a company, is a reasonable goal. Right? I want to own a company of 500 employees. Who the hell knows? Again, creating a company with $1 million a year revenue, that's pretty paint by numbers. Creating $1 billion company, again, there's a lot of fate involved with that. And so you come up with a reasonable thing. You know, you want to create a business, and then basically what you do is if you want to achieve the goals, you keep achieving the reasonable goals. So I want to create a company. That is your goal. You don't want to create a company with 50 employees, you want to create a company. So you create the company. Then once you have the company, you say, I want to expand this company to 10 employees. You get to 10 employees. Now here's the thing. Going from 0 to 100 employees, who the hell knows? Going from 10 to 100 employees is actually rather reasonable. So you get 10 employees, you're like, wow, I actually can deal with employees. I like the idea. People want this. We're going to scale. So I want to get to 100 employees. And then once you get to 100 employees, you look around, you see how things go. If you want to get to 1,000 employees, then you get to 1,000 employees. So the big thing for you to be thinking about with your goals is to find reasonable goals and then go after them. Because the problem is with most people is they pick goals that are too far out in the future, and it just kind of screws up their entire life. Right? Because nobody wants to give up on their goals. Nobody wants to fail. So the issue is if you are in junior high school and you decide you want a PhD and God knows what, right? Oh my God, is another person coming to look at me? Can a person not hide in a field and not have somebody come? Oh my golly. Anyways, so if you... what was I saying? So if you create a goal, so you say you're in junior high and you say, I want a PhD. The problem is a lot of people get really fixated with their goals. And so they focus on their goal. And so what happens is they get into college and then they're not really doing too well in college and they're not really good as a scientist or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever else. But they have this goal where they said that they want to get a PhD. So even though they're not good, even though they're not working too well. Hello.
You a camper?
I'm a camper right over there. Yep.
Oh, okay. I saw you sitting here and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on?
I am a YouTube vlogger that literally am just trying to find a place that's quiet.
Oh.
You're like the second person to come up. I'm like, I'm in the middle of a field. How much further out can I be?
Yeah, but I got a reason to ask you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
What's the site number?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm the white Ford F-150 right over here. D23, D23.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yep. Oh, I'm not sure who else would sit here. It's not like we're right beside an apartment complex or something. And I'm hiding. Yep, that guy, he's out there hiding in his orange shirt. Oh my golly. I have to say, it's so funny doing these vlogs sometimes. It's so funny. I am in the middle. Like, how big do you figure this field is? How big do you figure? Because this is a big ass field. Big ass field. This is a big ass field. 2 people. God damn it. I'm in the middle of a field. I'm in the middle of a field. Oh, anyways. So the thing is, so you set your goal too high, or you set your bait too big. The problem is, a lot of times, is people keep going after goals even after they realize it's not a goal that they should go after. Again, you know, that's one of the things I've talked about, like with being really bad with employees. Because I just don't fucking understand employees. I don't understand I don't understand neurotypical human beings, because I'll tell you, if that's fucking typical, goddamn. I'm surprised the world hasn't blown up already, right? How the average person feeds itself is completely beyond me. And so the problem is, right? The problem is with a lot of people, they get this idea in their head where it's like, I want to be a CEO. I want to be a CEO of a company. And so they get this idea that they want to be a CEO of a company into their head. And so they just focus on that, and they 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 completely ignore the fact that they suck with employees. Like, completely suck with employees, just all the way around. They just suck with the whole thing. And so they keep going until they're bankrupt, because they can't face the reality that the goal that they're going for isn't working out. So again, like I say, that's where I found, for me, is, you know, I had the goal of being a consultant. Well, I didn't really have the goal of being a consultant, kind of wound into that, but, you know, I did that. Was successful at that. Then I had the goal of getting a few employees, and I did that. And actually, when I had a couple of employees in a very small shop, that was going along pretty well. Should have stopped there. To be honest with you. Then I decided to buy the building and expand even more. That's when everything went downhill, and I realized I just hate employees and the rest of it. And so I could have just stuck along with that goal. I could have kept going for hell or high water, but since I had reasonable expectations for my goals, and I stopped hitting them at a certain point, then I had to reassess the situation and realize that was not what I wanted to do with my life, and I went on to the next thing, which then happened to wind me up into YouTube videos, which is a hell of a lot better way to make a buck. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that is the thing, is you find reasonable goals to go after, and then you keep going after them, and then you reassess, is this really what you want? Is this really the direction you want to go in, or do you want to go in a different direction? Again, like I say, for me, you know, I've had these goals, like I say, with Eli, the computer guy, in the videos, and I kept going until I got to the point I looked, okay, like, what is the next step? Where is the next place to go? When I looked at it, I was like, I don't want this. This looks horrible. Horrible. So why am I going to work hard to get this? And so I stopped, right? Because that's one of the things, like with my goals and where my life is led, is I kind of thought, and that's one of the things you have to realize about being abnormal, or you have to realize that everybody's different, right? So I've had a very weird life. When I say I have a weird life, like truly weird life. Like, draw my life doesn't even make sense. Like, it's really funny. Like, people are like, Eli, draw your life. And like, I'm not sure I could. I am not sure I could. It is just so fucking convoluted in 9 different ways. And so, you know, I had this life, and I convoluted, and you know, I did the military, I traveled around the world, I started a consulting thing, I did the Thailand thing, did all kinds of stuff, right? And then out of the blue, I meet my wife. And that was, like I say, completely out of the blue. Like, before my wife, I really wouldn't say I had a good long-term relationship. The longest relationship I had was like 13 months, and that was while I was in the Army and saw the woman once a month. Right? It lasted 13 months. But, you know, when most of that, like 12 months of that, was when you only saw her 1 weekend a month. And then when you actually get out of the military and you're around all the time, and it basically goes downhill about a month later, it's really kind of hard to call that a good long-term relationship. And the other one was like 9 months, and that was just fucking insane. So again, like this whole marriage thing, didn't figure that I would find my wife when I was like 28 or whatever. But then, like I said, going to a bar, happen to meet a person, blase, 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 one thing leads to another. We go out on a date, de facto living together after 3 days, like literally, and actually living together after 3 weeks, when I was never that type of person. And then we get married and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of figured I was on that whole settling down trajectory because I knew somebody pretty closely who was a CEO. And the thing with this person when they were a CEO is they were one of these like little hell childs when they were young, right? Kind of like one of those things, like it was almost hard to talk about their youth in polite conversation because they really kind of sounded like assholes. Right? You know, it's like one of those things, you're sitting there talking to this very, very nice person that you have all the respect in the world for. And they talk about their stories about when they were kids and teenagers and young adults. And everybody around the table was like laughing. Everybody around the table was like, that's the most funny thing, And I'm like sitting there goddamn horrified. Because it's like, you sounded like a complete ass. Like, oh my God, like, why are these people laughing? That's horrible, right? But the thing was, that person, they were in their young adulthood, again, got kicked out of schools. I mean, like really, like one of those things, like, what the hell's going to happen to this guy? And then it was like one of those weird things, like turned around. And then as a young adult, went into business, settled down, got married, had kids, and now it's like 40, 50 years later and like a fucking pillar of the community. Like, you could not get more pillory than this person was. Right? Not an alcoholic, not screaming, not like, right? And like I say, you hear the stories about how he was. Like, he tells the stories, and then everybody else tells the stories. So it's like, there's a lot of confirmation there. It's like, holy crap. And then you look at the person now, right? So that was my thought, was like, for me, I thought, okay, I've done all this weird stuff, I've done all this crazy stuff, but then, hey, I found this, out of the blue, I found the wife, we found a house, we dogs, and so I figured, settling down, I figured I was going to be that 70-year-old old white guy where it seems all prim and proper and you couldn't have imagined, back in the day type of deal. I just kind of figured that's how it would go. Did not go that way. Because I just don't have a lot of tolerance. I don't have the same, and that's the thing to understand with people. There's a lot of people that seem the same. Like, there's just stuff, right? And like I say, whatever that is, like for me, like I don't care what people think about me. And I mean that in a very deep way. Like a lot of people say, oh, I don't care what people think about me. And they make it all like snobby and egotistical and I am so self-confident. With me, it has nothing to do with self-confidence. It has nothing to do with ego. Again, as I say with Asperger's, we lack something called intuition. So intuition is non-verbal communication. So non-verbal communication is where somebody looks at you and then you get some communication that goes back and forth. Well, the thing is, for me, by and large, I don't get that nonverbal communication. Like literally, I have to do something so beyond the norm that it gets amplified to 1,000 degrees before I get the nonverbal communication. So like literally, I have to be talking into a big ass camera in the middle of an RV park before it gets into my head that people think I'm weird, right? It's just kind of one of those things. Like it just doesn't hit me. And so like that's one of my problems with business and success is so many people care so much about what other people think of them. Again, like I say, when I had employees, and I've seen that, like a lot of good managers, it's kind of weird to say this. It's kind of weird to say it, but it's true. A lot of the best managers that I've seen are actually very insecure. They're looking for feedback. They're looking for that authority, basically to have prestige, to have privilege, to have people look up to them. And so why they make good managers is because they want that, right? So you may think they're assholes because, they show off, or they do this, or they do that, or the other thing. But the reality is they actually make good managers because they care. They want their bosses to be impressed with them. And they want their employees to whatever, like them, fear them, whatever else, right? They really care. They really care what other people think. Well, here's a problem. Like when I had employees, I don't give a shit what any of them think. I don't. You got hired to do a job. I want you to do that job. When you do that job, I will pay you every 2 weeks. I complain at you if you don't do job. You complain at me if you don't get paycheck, right? that is an Aspie's idea of management. And let me tell you, it don't fucking work, right? Like that concept right there. Again, it's the difference between what people say they want and what they really want. That concept right there is what society imagines that they want. Right? I want to get paid for doing a good job. No, you don't. You want to get patted on the head and scratched on the belly and get into stupid art. You want all this stuff that has everything other to do than your job, right? And so for me, like I say, that's where it's. I just really, truly don't care about what other people think, and that's what I ran into. Like I say, with the house and all that, because I have statues, right? I have statues that are like museum quality statues. It cost me a pretty penny. Not as pretty as they could, because I actually knew the person who imported them. But you get these statues, and so one of the things is like pomp and circumstance. Like I wanted a house where people walked in and they saw the statues and they were impressed with the statues. See, what I didn't realize at the time is I really didn't give two shits if anybody was impressed or not. It's like I don't care if you're like, there's this idea that you should create things so people are impressed. It's like, okay, so you do that because that's what you're told you're supposed to do, and then you actually create those kind of things, and then you realize you don't give two craps. It's like I don't care if you're impressed or not. Again, like I say, I walk around in an orange shirt and sandals and white socks, and I don't do that to be like anti-establishment. And I don't do that to be a trendsetter. And I don't do that to give other people the middle finger. I do that because it's really comfortable. It's really comfortable, right? I wear socks and sandals because I tell you, on a hot day, socks and sandals, that's so nice. It feels so good, right? I wear this bright orange shirt because when my wife and I go out and we're hiking and we're in these environments, when she's looking for me and I wear a bright orange shirt, she goes, there he is. It makes life easier. You're like, yeah, but don't you feel like an idiot in an orange shirt? No, I really don't, because I don't give two shits what anybody else thinks, right? So, and that's the thing, like I say, with goals and all that kind of stuff. Because, that was my idea. Like, there was a time, I thought pomp and circumstance and being impressive and all that kind of stuff would matter. Be like, wow, I say, like, I was actually looking at an airplane at one time. Like, no lie. It was used. It's like $1 million. I didn't have the money for it, but figured I was gonna get it. But then you start looking at it, and you're like, okay, well, you need a plane, you need a place to put it, and you need a pilot, you need all this stuff. But then you're like, and grab a ticket on Southwest. Here's the thing, I don't really give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? $100 I can get a ticket on Southwest. Southwest is fine. Right? If there's first class, I'll take first class maybe, but Southwest doesn't have first class. So, that's the whole, and that's where you have to think about, like I say, with your goals and all that kind of stuff. What do you honestly care about? Because I know a lot of you right now, you're like, yeah, Eli, yeah, I'm like you. I don't care about those people. I don't care what other people think. Yeah, Eli. Here's the thing. Again, you can lie to me because I'm just a face on a video camera. Don't lie to yourself. A lot of you folks care about pomp and circumstance. A lot of you folks care what other people think about you. So don't discount that. Don't throw that away. I am saying how I am. Again, I'm not saying how you are. I talked about the whole thing with adoption before. I'm not saying whether adoption is right or wrong, good or bad, whether or not you should or shouldn't do it. I say why I don't care for it. again. Oh, right. Man, you don't want to put a human being that is most likely going to have abandonment issues with me. I am not the human being for somebody that's going to have abandonment issues. Just not a good idea, right? But anyways, but that's the thing to think about, is like, how are you really? So many people live up in their minds, and so many people live in dreams and live in fantasies, and they create goals that they know that they will never achieve because they're frankly never really actually even going for them, so that they can live in that world. And I think there's a lot of pain there. There's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of hardship, and there's a lot of things. And so what I would say with you is be honest with what you want, and then choose goals that you think are obtainable, and then figure out how to obtain those goals, and then start talking with people that have actually obtained those goals. And then when you talk with those people, that's one of the things that you may find out, is that you may find out those aren't actually the goals that you want, right? That you find out, like, when you actually figure out what that life is like, you realize, oh, that's not as cool as you think it is. Like I say, like with CEOs and all that, like multi-million CEOs, there's this idea they don't work and blah, blah, blah. And the reality is that they do work. They just work in ways that you don't think about. So like when they have all these corporate retreats, so when a underling looks at a corporate retreat, they just think all the bigwigs are going off on vacation. So they do have fun, don't get me wrong. But the thing is, they go because literally it's a mental trick to actually get these people to work harder. So the idea is, once you get higher up into like the executive ranks, it really is like who's in your Rolodex and who you're comfortable working with and all that kind of stuff is very valuable, because the more comfortable you are with somebody, the more likely you are to do business with them. And so like with a lot of these corporate retreats, I mean, basically what it is it's trying to get these executives into an environment where they drop their guard just enough so that they can then mingle and network and meet other people so they can work harder later. And so there's there's a lot. There's breakfast, and there's lunch, and there's groups activities, and there's cocktails, and there's dinners, and there's after hours, and there's seminars. And again, like I say, what a lot of the peons don't realize is those vacations a lot of times can be 12 or 14-hour days, right? But it's a different type of work than the average peon is used to thinking about. And so what they think is that it's just a complete vacation. So again, you have this idea, I want to be executive, I want to be CEO of a Fortune 500 company. So here's the thing, I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm not saying good or bad. What I'm saying is, what you need to do is you need to go out and have a cup of coffee with a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, if that is what your actual goal is. And then see what their life is actually like. And again, don't talk to them about cash. Don't talk about how much money do you make or airplanes or any of that. Talk about the little things. Talk about kids and school and vacations. All this kind of stuff that's around the edges. Again, keep the conversation open. Keep them talking. Because then they'll talk about all the little things that are really valuable in life, that really matter. And you'll find out, is this really worth it or not? So that's my thought. My goal of this point is just to wander and be content. Like I said, I feel my bucket list, my bucket be empty. As I filled it up and emptied it, filled it up and emptied it, filled it up. And again, like I say, that's my biggest frustration with talking with people, is I actually do. I'm not saying it all works out well. I'm not saying it all goes how I planned, but I work it. Yeah, that's the thing, you attempt it, and then you see how it goes. And so for me, that's the thing, like with all of these weird little attempts in life. And so it's wound up with me now just sitting here yabbering into a camera. Like this is so not what I would have ever thought I would have ever done. Right? Again, because again, people talk about like ego or being a star or whatever. And like I say, for me doing YouTube videos, again, I was in drama club one day in high school. One day. And it didn't go well. It did not go well, right? Like the thought of me ever talking to people for a living There was no, that was never in the cards. Never in the cards. Again, any plan I could have imagined back when I was 18, this would not have been on it. Anywhere on it. And yet, it's wound up where I am. And the reason is because I have an idea, I have a goal, I go for it. I have a goal, I go for it. I have a goal, I go for it. And again, like I say, a lot of them may seem disjointed. A lot of them, it doesn't seem like one thing goes in another. But again, like my paramilitary experience, my military experience is one of the reasons why I can do all this adventuring as well as I can. Again, when my foot has blown up to twice its size and it started squirting out blood and I'm in a third world country, that paramilitary experience is why I can breathe in, I can breathe out, go, okay, what is the plan? What is the plan? How are we gonna work the plan? And then I work the plan. And so that's a component of me being able to do these videos. Again, talking into a camera or being able to talk to people is back, being an ASPE. I was very, very, very shy. Again, it was just horrible. But I realized being out in the world, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. So I had to get over that. I had to be able to talk with people. And that's why I started doing the poetry reading. So again, back in the mid-90s, poetry readings were all the thing. Independent coffee houses and poetry readings were all the thing. So I started doing poetry readings and did that for a number of years. Why? So that got me relaxed. Again, does that seem like that would lead you anywhere, really? No, but I had a goal. I had the goal. I'll learn to do poetry reading. Did it. Again, I had a buddy doing the computer, the technology stuff. He said you need to get into it. So I had the goal, get the MCSE. Went there, had the goal, become a consultant. Had the goal, build the business. That failed. That didn't work, right? But then because I had all that knowledge, I was able to do the Eli the Computer Guy videos and become very popular there. So then I had that goal and I ran it all the way up to as far as I want to go. And then all the experience and everything I got from the Eli the Computer Guy then can translate now into this, what I'm doing. And so it's all these things, and that's the thing, like with YouTube videos, I would have never started with vlogging. Right? Again, 2009, if I hadn't done Eli the Computer Guy videos beforehand, I would never have done vlogging. The idea that people would want to listen to my voice for an hour and a half every day would, seem about as ridiculous as it still seems. The difference is now I have numbers that state that you folks want to see this. But again, like the idea that people would want to listen to my voice for an hour would be ridiculous, right? So the only reason I got to this point is because I went for that goal. And then in getting that goal, I found these other things. So that's the thing, is I would say find reasonable goals, run them until it's no longer fun. Run them until you don't want to go any further, and then figure out what a new goal is and go from there. And that would be my thought. And be honest with yourself, because that's what you folks, that's the biggest problem in the world. The biggest problem in the world! People are not honest with themselves. They're fucking lying to themselves. And then they wonder why everything's screwed up. Why am I not happy? Why are things not going well? Because you lied to yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, how can you ever be successful to any degree? Because remember, success, that's all what you measure things by. That's, happiness and all that is how you measure your life. So if you're lying to yourself, so you're going for goals you don't really want, then even when you achieve those goals, you're not going to be happy. And then you're going to get really nuts because you're like, I don't understand. I'm achieving the goals that I set for myself, but I'm still not happy. And the reason is because you don't want those goals, right? If you want to be a chef, don't get your MCSE, right? If you want to do so, if there's a direction you want to go in, don't basically go in the opposite direction. If that makes sense. Again, at the end of the day, you still got to pay the bills. Again, there's this whole passion versus drive. I'll probably talk about that in a different video, because that does get a little confusing, because people are like, well, that sounds like Eli, that sounds like I should go after my passion. And it doesn't matter how much money I make. It's like, well, yeah. There's a difference between not getting rich and not being able to pay the mortgage. Right? Like, if you're gonna go for something, you gotta be able to pay the bills. But I guess that will be a conversation for a different day. So that's it. that is my short story long. Eli, how's the weather? You have an hour and a half? Oh, but anyways, that's what you folks pay me for with your 15 seconds of watching the commercial at the beginning of this. So, anyways, that is my thought on goals. I'm just gonna screw around, take a video camera with me, and see what the hell happens. That is really my goal. Like I say, everybody's like, ooh, what's the secondary? I'm like, no, there's no secondary. There's no secondary. I tried it. I tried normalcy. Like I say, I don't know if I failed at normalcy. I don't know if normalcy failed me. I don't know if the spaghetti monster is just the biggest bastard this universe has ever known. I don't know. I just know I went for it, and it made me kind of miserable. So I'm going to stop going for what makes me miserable and see what happens. So that is a thought. On that note, I have been told I should talk more about Patreon. If you don't know about Patreon, Patreon is a wonderful thing where you can help fund me. But Patreon is Patreon. So I have a Patreon page, Patreon/FailNormal. We're up to like $100 and some odd a month right now off of that. But basically the idea being, like I say, is this Fail Normal. Like Eli the computer guy was like a very, very understandable business model. Eli the computer guy made a hell of a lot of sense. That was a business. This isn't so much so. This is kind of like the antithesis of a business in a lot of ways. So the thing is, if you want me to keep doing this, I do need to make enough money to keep it going. I don't really care how I make that money. And as I've said before, once I get big enough, I will go for sponsors and things. But the question that you have to ask yourself is, the nice thing is with YouTube ad revenue, that doesn't bias me one way or the other. I just get that money. I don't even know why I get that money. So the nice part about not knowing why I get that money is it doesn't bias me. And so the thing is, for beyond YouTube revenue, basically the way I can make more money is I can either make more money through sponsorships, or I can make more money through Patreon. And so the issue basically becomes, if I make more money through Patreon, then I just completely and utterly keep doing what I'm doing because that's non-biased. On the other hand, if I make money from sponsors, I'm not saying I'm gonna start saying I like Chevy when I really like Ford, but it will slant things, right? You know, it's like that it's a little pinky finger on the scale. So basically, if you like what I do, and you're into the whole Patreon thing anyway, definitely think about Patreon, because that puts the thumb on the scale of keeping things non-biased. Because again, at the end of the day, I really do have to pay the bills. I know that's like some horrible, I can't believe you say that. I can't believe you want to get paid for YouTube videos, Eli. Well, I literally spent an hour and a half talking to this thing, and then I'm going to have to edit this video. See, I mean, there's time and money and energy involved, and that's all I'm saying is, you know how it goes. Anyways, that's it. Again, I don't want to get too much into that. I actually had to get reminded, like, Eli, hey, maybe if you thought about Patreon more, people actually give you some money. It's like, oh, that would be nice. Yes, I guess. Again, calls for action. If you don't ask for something, people generally don't do it. So, I'm asking for money. Oh, anyways, with that, I guess we'll call it a day. Thankfully, we haven't had any more people show up. But this was a good lesson for you in life. If you plan to go out and vlog, like, you cannot get any more in the middle of a field than this. And I still had 2 people show up. Oh my golly, the life of Eli, the failed normal guy. With that, and we'll see you folks at the next video.